it's really the first movie where I'm like, I'm not going like this. I'm going like, I'm not going like this. I'm like, oh my god.
Hello, we are two sisters who love horror movies, horror books, scary stories, and sleepless nights. Welcome to Midnight Meetings. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Hereditary. It is a horror slash mystery film that came out in 2018. It is about the Graham family. The movie starts off with the loss of their matriarch, and basically after the funeral, a lot of just weird things start happening. So let's get into it. Spoiler alert. In this episode, we'll dive into major plot points in this movie or book. Watch or listen at your own risk. I know for sure that there are definitely a couple scenes that I want to talk about that happened in the movie, but let's get into the actual meaning of this movie. Honestly, this movie is mainly about inheriting something from your family. It's also about like grief and how we handle that grief. There's a lot in the movie that happens where you realize that they're not fully ever really talking to each other about what happened. They kind of just like sweep everything under the rug, the husband especially. And you can kind of see that playing out throughout the whole movie, because there was one thing that I noticed is that like as long as the movie was for like 2 hours, the family barely like talked to each other, which I thought was the weirdest thing. Like there wasn't a lot of dialogue with everything that was happening, which I thought was very interesting. What was your take on that?
Yeah, I would agree throughout the entire movie, especially the father who seemed there, not emotionally present or sort of completely absent. And I think when you first watch the movie, you're kind of like, that's very interesting. It seems like, well, he's not the main part of the story. Like, he's not the protagonist. He hasn't inherited whatever curse that the family has taken on from, what's her name again? We should learn the names of these of the characters. I should have looked at
Did they ever say the grandmother's name? Hold on, let me look it up. What was the grandmother's name? Ellen Taper Lay? I don't remember them ever saying her name.
Yeah, you have Annie, and then Peter, and then Charlie.
And then Charlie, and then I don't remember the dad's name either, because you know what? Honestly, he aggravated me the entire movie. It's like you really see how absent he is emotionally. She's going to these meetings, right, for people who have like lost loved ones. Mm-hmm. And you see her kind of like, first she looks like reserved when she's sitting down, and the second she starts talking, she like can't stop and she keeps going, and you can tell how much she needed to like unburden herself of everything that she was feeling and everything that she's gone through. And then she comes home and you realize that she's not even telling the husband that she's going to these things. He has no idea where she there was one scene where she said, oh, she went to the movies. Clearly she's not getting that like emotional relief from him. And that was like one of the biggest signs that it was like she can't talk to him, and he probably doesn't even want to talk about it. So like every time she's home, she's kind of like holding all these things in.
Yeah. I think also maybe like, it sounds like the way she describes her childhood is that maybe that's just how she was brought up, to be very emotionally reserved as well. Like, and when she was in the meeting, she's gone through so much trauma. I mean, with her parents, with her brother who was schizophrenic. Not really. Supposedly, and committed suicide, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So she also carried a lot of burden with, you don't necessarily want a trauma dump, you know what I mean? Like, how do you even go about telling people all the things that,
That
like,
like
sometimes
truly
it's
happened to
easier,
you.
yeah, sometimes it's easier to just bury it,
Mm-hmm. And just go with the flow. But clearly that was a huge thing for her, because I feel like a lot of her main issues, it all stemmed from her mom, from how they were
Yeah.
raised. What I thought was interesting was that when she mentions her dad, her dad apparently was also, not all right in the head, and he starved himself and died. It's like once you like go farther along in the story, you realize all of the things that she's talking about, the mom probably had a hand in this. The grandmother probably had a hand in all of this. Obviously, she was doing something to the brother, and then he kills himself and leaves a note and says, "Hey, like, I'm doing this because you put all
Yeah,
these
she was
people in
trying
my
to
body."
do the ritual. She's
Mm-hmm.
trying to do the ritual with her son.
That really makes you think about how long she's been planning all of this. She did it with her own kids, maybe tried to do it with her husband, couldn't do it with her kids, and then her daughter gets pregnant and she's like, I have another opportunity. But of course, because of the like estranged relationship that she had with her mother, she didn't let her mother, she wasn't really in Peter's life like that, right? It wasn't until she had her daughter Charlie that she like let her mom kind of, take over. But that of course was when they brought her mom into the house because she needed help. She was getting older, which I'm like, was that an act so that she could get close to the family? I'm gonna pull up my notes of all the things, because like as I was watching it, I was like, you know what, let me just write down everything before I forget. Also, watching it the second time wasn't as bad.
Yeah, I've watched that movie 3 times now. Every time it's like, well, you know what to expect at that point.
Exactly. I was dreading rewatching this movie because I knew it was the first time I watched it. You and Evan came over and he just like threw it on and didn't say anything. Was just like, "Oh yeah, you like scary movies, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he threw it on, had no clue what the premise was, didn't even know the synopsis. I didn't nothing. I'm just like watching the movie. When the grandmother's ghost pops up, ooh, it's a ghost movie, and it continues. Oh, okay, it's not a ghost movie, and then you're like, what's going on? And the girl's head pops off in the car, and then you're like, what the? And then all of a sudden, there's naked people out around the house. I was like, what am I watching? To watch it with absolutely like no idea what the story was even about was like a whole other level of just like horror for me.
Evan did literally the same exact thing to me.
I was
He
like,
just
and
said, "Oh, let's watch this movie. Have you seen this movie? Let's watch this movie." Okay,
oh my
messed
god.
up.
I will say, I think that's the best way to watch a movie. Is like have no clue what it's about, just put it on, because I feel like sometimes the trailers, it tells you too much, and there aren't actual like surprises, I feel, anymore once you watch a trailer. I think that's one of the reasons why this movie was like super traumatizing for me watching it, because my brain had no idea what I was getting into. Literally had nightmares for weeks. Every time I laid down in bed, I was expecting to see like Annie on my ceiling. One thing, first of all, how they filmed this was absolutely beautiful. The first scene, well, it wasn't really the first scene, but you're kind of in her art room where she has all the little doll houses that she's making. And it goes into a scene where it's like a bedroom and you can tell that there's a person sleeping under the covers, and then they track into it, and then it turns into the real life scene where the brother is getting out of bed. I forget, is it the mom or the dad that wakes him up and is like, hey, we need to get ready for the funeral? And I was just like, oh, that transition was like gorgeous. But yeah, I had to call that out, because watching it the second time I was like, ooh, I can actually enjoy this now. The grandmother appearing in the workshop, not gonna lie, that scared the crap out of me. That's one of the things in scary movies. Whenever there's a dark thing in the corner, my gut immediately goes,
I think that movie did a really good job of sort of hiding like images of people in plain sight. And a lot of times, the first time, like people were talking about, did you see that naked person in behind in the back? I didn't notice it the first time. Like, you're so focused on what's going on in front of you. The scene where she's on the wall and she's like in the corner of the thing and he's in the room. I
And
didn't notice that at first. And
until
then
she started moving.
until she started, like, they did a very good job of that. Like, it gives you this, I felt like it puts you in the spot of the characters. All these characters who are constantly being watched and they don't even know. The parallel between her literally working on her replica, putting all these scenes together, the town, this and that. But then they're actually being watched constantly, like by this cult.
Yes. You know, I didn't think about it that way. She's watching what's happening because she's like creating the scenery of things that like have happened, but there is somebody also on the outside looking in and seeing everything that's happening. That's
and doing that to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been orchestrating all of these events. The family is literally these little dolls that are literally the replica. Like, they're orchestrating everything. They're the ones who had that made sure Charlie got killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones to make her go to the support group for the grief thing, where she met that other woman who told her about reaching to loved ones in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And
the entire time, like at first, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, they've been orchestrating this since the grandmother died. And it wasn't until the second time that I watched it that, like, you know, she's looking at the photo album, her mom's secret photo album. She sees all the photos of them, like, while they were doing these rituals, and she sees the photo, their family photo, and they're like, you know, around it. Oh my God, how long has her mom been planning this? And then you get, you know, the little Easter egg about her brother and then the husband, and it's like her mom has been planning on doing this for decades. And it just adds an extra, like, evil element in there. Like, you are willing to sacrifice anybody and everybody in your family to do this thing.
I mean, to be honest, she might have had kids and got married for that very reason.
That specific reason.
So, it goes to, and who knows what I mean, they don't go into this, but her mother's parents might have been into some crazy shit too. It's a cycle. Yeah, it's I mean, the movie at its core is about family like perpetuating family trauma, passed down issues and stuff that never get resolved. And you could go so far to say as her personal trauma with her family sort of was the gateway to a lot of these things that were happening. Her not being forthcoming, her not being honest with herself about her relationship with her son, like the distance that she put between her and her son. Like, you could tell from the beginning of this movie that they
did not have a very good, like,
they had a bad relationship. Yeah, a very bad relationship. So she kept that trauma going, like the trauma she suffered, she put that on her kids as well. She didn't listen to her son. She didn't really care about what he wanted. He was gonna go to a party. He's a teenager. Like, why are you forcing him to take his younger sister? That doesn't really make any sense.
Okay, so yes, that doesn't make sense, right? The first time I watched it, I was like, why would she do that? And then you have to look back and go, was that also orchestrated? Because they needed to get Charlie out of the house in order for her. Even when they're driving past the, like, light pole, you can see that symbol that the cult carries around. You're like, that was purposeful.
I feel like even though certain things are orchestrated, I do believe at some point she had a little bit of agency, and she made really bad decisions because she didn't really care about what her son wanted. And her son obviously harboring a lot of resentment.
What is it?
I was saying that in the moments where I think she had agency, she made bad decisions.
Yeah, she did. But it's like, sometimes I wonder how much agency she actually had. And that's like one of the things that's like the biggest question for me. So when they're in the high school classroom, Peter's classroom, and they're talking about is it Oedipus? He gets his fate told to him, and they're like, oh, you're gonna kill your father and like marry your mother, and then he does everything in his power to like not do those things, but he ends up doing those things anyway. How much power did she actually have from the moment her mother died and till when everything happened? Honestly, that was one of the scarier points to me too. After everything that's happened, there was almost nothing she could do for there to be a different outcome. One, the occult probably wouldn't have allowed her to, and then who knows how long and how often that they've been doing these rituals to make sure that everything ends up the way that they're planning. It's like, dang, she made bad decisions, but it was also, would she have made those decisions if she wasn't in that situation?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I guess the Oedipus parallel, he had his future told to him, and then he still made the same, he still ended up, in the effort to avoid his future, he fulfilled it. He fulfilled it. So, in this case,
like, she didn't necessarily
know exactly what was happening.
That's another thing. Did she not know? Okay, so there was a scene where she's sleepwalking and she ends up in her okay, well, you don't know she's sleepwalking. She wakes up, there's a bunch of ants crawling everywhere, and she follows the ants into her son's bedroom, and the ants are like all over his face, and she starts screaming. And then he wakes up and he's like, what are you doing? Why are you screaming? This and that. And then she kind of like, it's almost like she has like a truth serum when he's like, why do you hate me so much? Or why are you scared of me? I forget what it is he actually says. And she was just like, I never wanted you. I never wanted to have you. And she kind of just starts admitting the resentment that she had towards her son. Like, she was like, you shouldn't have existed in the first place. I only did this because like my mother basically made me. You can see where it stems, the bad relationship that she had with her son. She never wanted to have a kid. You can clearly tell that she subconsciously knew something was wrong with this family, and she didn't want to bring a child into this family. So with everything that happened with her brother, and you know what, it could also be because, because they supposedly have like schizophrenia and her mom has dementia, and it could be because she's scared of passing that along. But did she maybe subconsciously know that something was wrong besides that? She didn't know her mom was in a cult, but she knew her mom had a very secretive life. There were things that she didn't talk about. She didn't talk about her friends. Growing up, I'm sure you would have seen something. How much did she really not know about the cult? Maybe she saw something when she was young and she didn't fully understand it and just thought like, oh, it's just I'm just having like a mental issue, or my mom's having a mental issue, or, like a lot of it has been traded off as like, oh, there's something mentally unstable in this family, and not the fact that like her mom is straight up just like in a cult. There was another scene where she talks about, this was when she was at the meeting, where she admits that, she used to sleepwalk, and one night she ended up in her kid's room and she had covered herself and her kids in paint thinner and had matches in her hand and was about to light the match and like essentially burn them all to death. And that's another sign of like subconsciously she knows she has to end her family. Like something bad is going to happen, and it involves her and her kids, right? And it's like, where is that coming from for her to do that while she's sleepwalking,
I mean, her brother did the same thing took his life when he realized that something was happening and some evil was a part of their family, and he was a part of the whole thing. So yeah, I guess, when you put it that way, I would agree. In some way she knew. I mean, she might not have known the specifics, but there was that feeling that, and of course, it's sometimes there's things you can't see, but you can feel, especially because it's the same idea of all these people like being sort of hidden in plain sight, like they're just watching and stuff. If you're being watched your whole life and you feel that evil presence, like something's wrong, but you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah, and her subconscious basically takes over when she's sleepwalking, and it's just like, this is the solution. But she wakes herself up when she lights the match, and then of course her kids start screaming, and that makes the relationship with her son even worse. He was like, you tried to kill us, and he's not taking the whole, oh, you were sleepwalking thing. How do you sleepwalk, grab paint thinner, cover us in paint thinner, and then have matches? So he doesn't want to be anywhere near his mom. He's like, you could have killed us. And he knows deep down also that there is something wrong, and he doesn't have a good relationship with his mom as well. As a family, how do you come back from that? Did they even talk about that? Was that something that also got swept under the rug and wasn't like hashed out as a full family?
Yeah, and also I feel like she's not ready to take responsibility, or be honest with her and with herself and take responsibility for things. Like, for instance, she's when they're at the table after Charlie had died, and she's kind of like telling, well, I don't exactly remember the exact conversation, but he tells her she didn't even want to go to that party, and that look on her face, she gets so mad. She didn't want to admit that she made this bad decisions as well, things that
she played a part in essentially her daughter dying. Like, why would you send your teenage son to a party with his little sister, who I don't even remember how
reaction
old, to
who
peanuts.
Didn't have her EpiPen. She ate a cake with peanut. Where was her EpiPen? Well, if
and
you're
that's
her
another
mom,
thing.
You're supposed to make sure she has that
before
stuff
she
with
even
her all the
leaves.
time.
Before she even leaves the house, tell her brother, hey, this is her EpiPen. This is her bag. Like, these are, like, she didn't do the things that were necessary for someone who has a child that has an issue. Because even at the funeral, like, Charlie took a bite of chocolate, and she looks and she's like, there's no peanuts in there, right? Because we don't have her EpiPen. And it's like, where is her EpiPen? I thought that was crazy, because I feel like most parents, like, who have kids who have a peanut allergy in general, are usually very, very particular about what their kids eat and where their kids go and whether there's peanuts in the area, right? So seeing that kind of like opposite was like, girl, what you mean you don't got her EpiPen? Why are you asking? Why does she even have that chocolate if you don't know there's peanuts in it?
Yeah, she's deathly allergic to peanuts. No EpiPen. So there's a little bit of, in my head, is she being very careless? Because in the back of, I mean, she already tried to end her family once with this paper thinner business. Is in the back of her head, is she being careless under the influence of the outside? Or is she like in her head, like being careless because, she's like, well,
she's like, oh, once we end it, it'll, everything will stop.
Yeah, like, to me, this just, how can you even begin to blame your son for something like that? Peter didn't seem all that close with his sister either.
At all. Because even, like, you're always going to assume that, like, if you go to a party with your older brother, he's going to leave you alone because he wants to hang out, he wants to he wants to be with the cool kids, he wants to talk to girls and whatnot. But there was also just, like, there was also a carelessness with him too. You also know your sister has a peanut allergy. Would you go, oh yeah, go have some cake? You know what? Let me go make sure you can have this cake first before I just like leave you alone and tell you to just go eat whatever. You know? So it's like the entire family really was very careless at certain points.
Yeah, and where's the father in all this? Did he even put his 2 cents in any of the stuff that was happening? No, he's just there.
He's just a fly on a wall. And you're like, where were you when the mom was trying to send off Charlie to a party? There were a lot of things that like happened in this movie that was just like, in what world? You know?
What are the decisions being made here?
Yeah, for real. Like, again, where are you? Instead of where are your kids? Where are the parents? Where are the parents in this?
Exactly. Like, if your kid has is deathly allergic to something, I wouldn't even let them step foot in a place I don't know where they're going, who they're gonna be with.
With my teenage son, who I know is going to a party to do whatever he's gonna be doing. Even if she tried to be like, oh, if he has the sister, then like I know he won't be drinking or he won't do this or do that. You don't know that. He's a teenager. He's not thinking about that. That's always like a terrible reason to send like your sibling out with their
and not in
as a way to like keep it. And it's like that's not
environment.
No, not at all. I'm wondering how, like, was she even in high school? Was she? I don't remember them ever telling us her age. Maybe like a freshman, maybe
13 or 14 or something like.
Right. Child. Anyways. Oh my God. Okay. So I loved how they filmed the scene after Charlie's head gets ripped off. And the brother is just driving. I'm not going to look. And the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing? He is high. We don't know how much he smoked in between the time of her like going to have the cake, how long he's been in there. And he's freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get her to a hospital. And he's trying to get to the hospital. Her head gets ripped off by the light pole. And at that point he's like, okay, I don't think I need to go to the hospital anymore. I'm gonna go home. All right. Autopilot. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get out of the car. I'm gonna go lay down because I need a second. He's like, I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah, like most people's reactions would, I don't even know. Call the
police. What do you do? Like there's
call the ambulance.
There's nothing I can do at this point.
Yeah.
You know? And he lays down and it's the next morning and the camera is on him the entire time and you just hear the mom saying, you know, good morning, goodbye to the husband. You hear the door opening, you hear her walking out, you hear the car door open, and then you just hear this like guttural scream. We were experiencing it from his perspective versus the mom going outside. He kind of was just like laying there and it was just like, oh yeah, mom's gonna find Charlie in the car. And again, there's never any talking about it. The next scene is just, you know, her wailing on the ground and the husband is trying to console her. You just see the camera pan to Peter standing in the hallway and just like listening to his mom like crying about Charlie. And that is the most we ever see as an interaction after it's happened. There's no scene that shows, you know, you're assuming that they haven't talked about it because of what happens at the dinner table where she's like, you can't even, you know, take responsibility for what you did, blah, blah, blah. So it makes you really wonder, like, was there any conversation, like any type of acknowledgement for anybody in the family that this happened? And this is such a traumatic thing. A couple days before she lost her mother and now she just lost her daughter. One of the worst ways possible.
Yeah.
Like there was no helping Charlie. Her head flew off. There's literally nothing you can do to fix that. Her having an allergic reaction to something, yes, that's fixable. If, you know, he could get her to the hospital in time. But like, come you know, and all that to happen just because Charlie went to a party that she wasn't supposed to be at and ate
And it's so funny because he's high and he's making very, very bad decisions. The best thing for him to do would be to call the paramedics or something instead of doing what he did. I know there's a way, like, they could probably talk him into, like, opening her airway or something.
Mm-hmm. It's something about, like, you have to, like...
Your throat closes up. So, yeah, like do, like, what they call a tracheotomy, something like that. Like, there's other things that he could have done. I mean, of course, having her freaking EpiPen would have been a great start.
Everything.
Or asking anybody else in the place,
had an
do you guys have an EpiPen? Does anybody here have an EpiPen? Somebody might have an EpiPen. Who knows? It's a big party. Who knows? Does anybody have an EpiPen?
But again, how much of that was being orchestrated by the occult? Like, you look at all of these decisions that they made, and it was like, did they have any power over that?
Here's the thing, going back to the Oedipus thing, I feel like your fate maybe takes advantage of bad decisions, right? People can't control you necessarily if you're making good decisions. Like, I feel like you know what I mean? It's just, they're taking advantage of the fact that this family, I could fix my thing again. They're taking advantage of the fact that this family is just, like, so nonchalant about each other. They don't show proper care to each other. There's, like, this animosity or, like, anger there that they exploit.
Mm-hmm.
They exploit, like, the very, like, poor way that both the mom and the brother and the father, because he's just somewhere
nowhere
else.
to be seen.
Nowhere to be seen. These people took advantage. And here's the thing. Charlie had a very close relationship with her grandmother, and they said so. They said as much. The grandmother knows the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Charlie, like, feels that lack of care and consideration towards her, and the grandma came and filled that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the mother never had a chance, really.
Yeah.
She never really had a chance, really, because, like, it seemed like from the moment Charlie was born, it was kind of like the grandmother was the one taking care of her.
You always, that's the thing, like, you always have, there's always options, there's always things that you can do. I feel like the cult exploited
the weaknesses of this family. And
not necessarily they're the ones making the family necessarily act the way they act, but knowing how the family acts the way they act and exploiting those actions to get the outcomes that they want.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably very easy because, you know, did they make them forget the EpiPen, or did this cult know that these two people are so careless that they're
always forgetting the EpiPen?
Like, they would have their granddaughter the granddaughter just walk out, Charlie, just walk out and not have her EpiPen, and then set the perfect play to have her have an allergic reaction and then die at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about this movie is it leaves it a little bit open-ended. Like,
mm-hmm.
Where does the personal responsibility end, and where does, like, this sort of malignant force of
mm-hmm.
control begin?
Like, yeah, wild, absolutely wild. Okay, what was another one I don't want to talk about? Okay. This woman that she runs into at the what do you even call that? It's not I keep wanting to say, like, an AA meeting. It's not an AA meeting.
A support group?
Thank you. It's a support group. You know, she consoles in this woman, and then, like, you know, happens to run into her lately. You know what? Maybe I'm just a type of person who's paranoid, but I would have been like, why is this woman running into me all of a sudden, and she's talking about seances and how she's talked to her grandson, and, like, no, you need to come over, and, like, I swear it's not crazy. You watch this woman do a seance. one time. One time. She gives you a piece of paper that has a language you don't know. Right? And then you bring it home and you yourself try to do a seance. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then it's like, maybe she really, really didn't know. But like, I'm sorry, I'm not taking like any type of spiritual suggestions from anybody. Especially the way she ran out of the house after, like, you know, I think the air blew on her face or something, and she was like, you need to stop. Like, I'm, you know, obviously you felt like something felt really wrong about it. But nah, to me, I saw that and was just like, girl, one time you saw this woman do a seance one time, and then we're like, yeah, let me go home and try it myself. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that, but I think grief, imagine going through what she went through. Grief makes you do crazy shit.
And that shit was crazy. Especially when the woman was like, make sure that everybody in the house is there. I'm like, why? I want to talk to my dad. Why does everybody in the house need to be there? It was just you and me this time. You didn't need anybody to be here for you to call your grandson. But, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, you don't pay attention to the little things, and you're just like, I just want to talk to my daughter. You know, Charlie did die in a very abrupt and violent way. So, you know, she was just like, I need to talk to my daughter. She didn't have time to
grieve. She didn't really grieve, and she didn't really come to terms with what happened. So that was a perfect setup for her to do something crazy like that.
Okay, another thing that I really liked about the movie. Sorry, I'm just like looking at my notes to make sure. The movie was very like slow paced in a sense where like things weren't happening necessarily like right away. There were a lot of like in between that was happening, because at this point you don't really know if you don't know that it's an occult. You're just like, oh no, she did a seance and she probably brought back a demon with Charlie's spirit. At this point, you're not thinking that, you know, you're not thinking about the grandma orchestrating everything. It's like how they laid out the movie, especially for me, because I had no clue what I was getting into. It was like, oh, it's a ghost movie. And then Charlie dies, and then you're like, okay. And then she does the seance to talk to Charlie, but then other things start happening. You're like, oh no, she brought a demonic presence. It's going to be a demonic movie. And then like it progresses, and then you're like, oh, you're like, oh, it's an occult. That's bringing something back. Like the way the movie like transitions from one thing to the next was just like, I thought it was great. 'Cause it wasn't like, there weren't a bunch of like random jump scares. Like you were simply watching the progression of this family and like how and what happens in the end. Right? I really kind of like that, like sort of like slow burn aspect to the movie. I really like that about the movie, because I was like, you're sitting here for 2 hours and you're like, there's not a lot happening in the 2 hours that you're sitting watching this movie.
Yeah, there's a build up, but I think the director does this, the writer, like there's not a lot happening, but you're still engaged because you know that it's building up to something that's very messed up. They get that very well. Like, you don't know what is wrong, but you know something is incredibly wrong with what's happening here. With the cinematography, like they capture this atmosphere that keeps you engaged. I need to keep watching because I need to find out like what is really happening here. This is not how a normal family operates. We look at a lot of other horror films, right? That it's just, there's no atmosphere. It's not intentional with what they're doing. It's just, oh, scare this, jump scare this. Oh, scary. Oh, let's tell you exactly what's happening in the first 30 minutes. Otherwise, we lost your attention.
Yeah.
This movie didn't have to tell you exactly what was happening. All it needed to tell you was that something is very wrong. Keep watching and you're going to see. And if you watch it more than once, like, I love those movies that trust the audience to pick up on things and to infer things as they watch, instead of being told what's happening. You're looking at the characters, you're looking at the scene, you're looking at the way they place things in the scene, and from those things you can infer there's something wrong with this, there's something wrong with that. And then if you rewatch it more than once, knowing what happens, you see the little clues that they leave
the little nuggets. I like to call them the little nuggets.
And they don't put it, like, they don't hit you in the face with it. They trust the audience to be paying attention. No, you can't have what they call second screen syndrome. I guess it's going a little bit off on a tangent, but there is they call it second screen movies, where because they know people can't put their phone down for 2 seconds, they make movies, they design movies now for people to be able to put the movie on, not watch it, like not be looking at what's... So you'll see a lot of things happen where the characters will tell you exactly what's happening as it's happening.
Yes.
And if you've watched movies like that, you know it's because the movie is a second screen movie where they need things to be repeated over and over again. Like, you've already said this, you're saying this again.
To make sure the audience actually gets it. Yeah. Oh, God. No. I hate those.
So they're designing the movie for people who are not engaged with the movie. They're engaged into their phones. But they're... So
they can still hear what's happening.
So they can still hear what's
watching
happening.
It, yeah.
And if they missed something because they were too distracted with something else, don't worry. They're going to say it again at some point.
That's so annoying. No, I'm the type of person where if I get up from a movie, I either have to pause it, or when I come back, I'm rewinding it, because I'm like, I want to make sure I didn't miss a single thing. Have we gotten that dumb?
Yeah, they're making fun of movies that a lot of movies, like Netflix movies basically, where you're being told everything that's happening as it's happening, because they believe the audience isn't actually looking at the TV. They're not looking at the screen.
No, it only... care about the people who
and
actually
they
pay
need to
attention.
Engage people in some way, otherwise they're just gonna turn it off. So, a lot of great movies would have never gotten made in this day and age
because of that. No, that's true.
So now going back to Hereditary, if this movie had come out during this critical time of second screen syndrome, imagine how different this movie would have been.
It would
have
been...
the little nuggets and clues and stuff. You have to be paying attention and watching and absorbing what's going on. This movie would have never gotten made.
No.
Or it would have been... It's like an art house film. So I'm not going to say there aren't still movies like that being made. But it wouldn't have, I think, reached the acclaim or the heights that it did, because people are kind of like, they can't sit down and watch a movie.
I loved it so much because rewatching it, I could really because now I'm no longer scared. I know what's happening. I really was able to enjoy every little thing that they were doing. I loved... This time I was able to really enjoy the little houses that she was making, because the first time I watched this movie traumatized me. So, I forgot all of the small details, and I was just like, oh my God, Annie's on the wall. She's cutting her neck. What's going on? So this time watching it was just I really got to enjoy seeing her with her little paints and doing the little figurines. Again, she's creating these scenes, not just... because she's working on an art installation, but in between she's kind of creating these little pieces based on her life as a form of release. And there was one where it's her holding Charlie, and she's trying to breastfeed Charlie, and then her mother is in her nightgown and her boob is out because she also wants to breastfeed Charlie. And you're And that scene right there is what really shows you how bad the dynamic was between her and her mom. Like, I'm trying to take care of my baby and you're trying to step in to be the mother. And that one was one of the really creepy, like, ooh, oh my gosh, like, oh, I see now why you and your mom weren't on good terms.
The grandmother would not have physically been able to breastfeed anybody. She didn't just have a baby. She can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's weird. I would have been like, what are you doing? Stop.
Seriously, that is so weird. And then they were also like, you know, they kept showing the the treehouse. Jesus Christ. I was like, I don't know how many times they showed that treehouse when it wasn't like really necessary for us to see the treehouse. But then, you know, as the movie progresses, you're like, that's why they keep showing that something is gonna happen at the treehouse. And like, especially because it's very ominous, because they have like the heat lamp on, and there's always this red glowing light at night coming out of the treehouse. One, because Charlie liked to sleep up there, and then two, after Charlie passed, that seemed to be the only way for the mom to go to sleep, was to go up in the treehouse, because that's where Charlie liked to be. But then, of course, later on, you realize that that's also where the ritual is gonna happen, right? And you kind of always just see in Peter's eyes specifically, you see like the red light glowing, and he has like a view of the treehouse. I'm so happy it came out when it came out, because like this movie wouldn't have been the same if they were trying to do the whole second screen. That's ugh. Because could you imagine how much they would have, like, there would be so much more dialogue in this movie.
Where it wouldn't have made sense, because this movie thrives off the unsaid, the unacknowledged,
just the sheer lack of, like, a communication between everybody.
Exactly. So that's where this movie thrives. And most of the movies being carried by the imagery. Everything the family isn't saying is being played out through images, through intentionality of the placement of things, of actions. That would have been the worst movie for the second screen business, because
absolutely
it is this movie cannot exist with a second screen in mind.
Oh, to go back to the father, right? That, like, he made me very angry. Like, the entire time I was watching this movie, I was just like, dude. But then a part of me is also like, we don't know the full story, because we get the little nugget about you know, her sleepwalking, and that she possibly also has something, you know, mentally wrong with her that she might have gotten from her family, because like her dad, her mom, her brother, it's mentioned that, you know, she covered the kids in paint thinner and had matches, right? A part of you has to be like, okay, what else has gone down for the father to react the way that he's reacting? Because I remember when she put the pieces together, like after she went through her mother's things and saw the photo album, and then went upstairs and saw the body in their attic, and she came down to the husband and said, hey, I need you to burn this book. Something is going on. Like, something is wrong. And he's thinking she's having a psychotic break. But the entire time she's having the psychotic break, you just see the, like, look on his face. It's not a look of caring, like, at all. It's annoyance. It's resentment, almost, right? And the entire time you're watching him, and you're feeling for the mother, because you're like, she's finally figured it out, something, or she's begging you to help her. She's finally, you know, telling you what's going on. And just the, like, look that he had on his face. And even if what she was saying wasn't true and she was having a psychotic break, I would have loved for there to be a little more love between them when that whole thing was happening. And I just remember sitting there being the whole time like, oh my God, like, dude, what is wrong with you? You're like, your wife is going through something right now. Like, she really needs you, even if it's throwing the journal in the fire. Like, and, you know, there's a point where he says, I'm not doing this with you anymore because it's probably not helping if I feed into whatever scenario you have in your head. Before he even said that, you could just tell that he was so over it. And I'm like, I was trying so hard not to be like, I was trying to not be hard on him because we don't know the full, you know, family dynamic. Maybe she's tried to do something more than once to the kids and we don't know. And at this point, he's just like tired of it, right? But Ucha, when she threw that journal in the fire and he lit up like a dry Christmas tree, I was like, oh well. Because I by that point, I was like, I was so over him as the dad, because like we barely ever see you through this movie, and the one time she asked for help, he even accuses her, did you dig up your mother's body? Sir, when would she have had I mean, I guess he's assuming that because he doesn't know that she's been going to these support groups, that he's like, you know, maybe she went out and dug up the body. He gets a call and he finds out that the mother's grave was buried up, and he doesn't tell her that. And that's when he's like, you know, you did it. She's telling you that there's a corpse in the attic. Its head is gone. First of all, when would she have had time to go there, dig up her mother's body, carry a dead body into the house, pull it into the attic, and set something up? Sir, you must be very, very absent if your wife could do that and you not know. Cause how is she pulling that body up in the attic? That's what I want to know. Immediately, the first thing I said was, how is she going to do that? How much did her grandmother weigh? It's a dead body. That's dead weight. How is she going to carry that through the house and nobody knows? But then again, somebody had to do it, right? Somebody did it. But obviously it was when nobody was home, but you know, whatever. Anyways, clearly she needed help. If somebody helped her put that body in the attic, okay? It was not just her. But yeah, no, he really made me mad in that scene.
I think we maybe don't give enough credit to the fact that maybe he knows there's something very, very, very wrong as well. So his first instinct is to say, I think Annie did it. Like, he knows something's wrong with her, or there's something wrong with the family. But he unfortunately fails in the fact that he doesn't ask those questions. He's just there, and he's not asking, like, he's just there. But he's not asking the proper questions. He's like an outside observer, sort of, in a way. And he's not really in the thick of it. So... And I would say maybe, who knows, maybe they don't have as much control over him as they do the other members of the family. So, to me, I don't know, maybe he sees there's something very wrong, but he doesn't do anything about it.
Okay, because there was a scene where, I think right before she comes into the house to, like, tell him about, you know, the dead body and everything, he's on the computer and he's writing to her, I don't know if it's her therapist or psychiatrist, or he's writing to somebody, and you kind of get a glimpse where he's like, I think she might be having a psychotic break, like something might be going on with her, and I think it's time that we do something about it. He knows that there's something wrong with her. He's probably thinking it's more mental. You know, her mom just died, our daughter just died, she might be unraveling. Even then, if you know that there is something like that happening to your wife and in the family, wouldn't you talk about it? Wouldn't you sit down and say, we need to hash out all these things to make sure that you don't have a psychotic break, that this doesn't affect you in a way to where, you know, we might have to what's the word I'm looking for?
The entire family would have needed support after that. Mm-hmm. You went through something traumatic. You lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your mother, you lost your daughter, which, you know, you lost your m that's going to affect the whole family. And then
Yes, and the
nobody
brother,
did
like,
anything about it.
nothing.
Nobody.
Nothing.
She continued going to her support group. Where's the, like, this family is.
It's like, you needed a support group. You didn't think your son did?
She blamed him.
He was the
like,
one. Yes.
She obviously harbored a lot of anger towards him because she blamed him for what happened. And she obviously feels very negative towards him almost all the time. So it's just going back to, like, them exploiting the way that
their
these
family
people
dynamic.
operate. Their dynamic. Yeah. Like,
'Cause
the
it's like,
father is just blah. He's just there, and he's not really taking an active role in anything that's happening.
nothing. Like, what was it?
And
The only time you really saw him...
Yeah.
The only time you really saw him get, like, start showing emotion about anything is... Well, I guess there was twice where she was in her room and she had replicated the accident that happened with Charlie. And he was just like, you're not going to let Peter see that, are you? And at that point, you're like, okay, somebody... You're finally feeling something. Hi, Dad. What's up? You know, and she's just like... And she's just like, this is my way of coping with it. And let's be honest, you know that. You've seen the stuff that she's made of. Like, you didn't think that she might have, you know, created that. When she did the seance with her family is, again, where he's just like, you need to stop. You're not, like, Peter is scared. Actually, there's 3 times, because there was that time, and then when he has to pick up Peter after he kind of, like, gets possessed in the classroom and, like, smashes his face in.
And he's crying in the car.
And he was crying in the car, and you were like, how long have you been holding all of this in and have not shown any type of emotion? Like, do you think that you're being strong for the family? Obviously that's not helping. Like, I hated how he stopped the conversation at the dinner table, because it was clearly something that they needed to talk about it. Yes, Peter was at fault, but so was the mother. That needed to be said, and they needed to come to terms with that so that they could move forward. And he was just like, that's enough. That's fine. We don't need to talk about this anymore. You're gonna let them continue having these emotions toward each other. And it's not gonna help, because then what, they're not gonna talk about it for the rest of their lives? Like,
yeah, and then also as the father, you see how much Annie and Peter are like, you don't even try to, like, how can you be in that house and see that your son and your wife and his mother are, like, not gelling with each other? Like, this is not a normal way. And you mean, like, oh, he's a teenager, oh, he's this. No, it was more than that.
It was definitely more than that. And especially after Charlie's death, there should have been a moment where it would have been like, look, we're all gonna sit down and talk to somebody. He wasn't worried about Peter until the mom did the seance. Now all of a sudden you care about Peter? Now you're talking about what, like, Peter needs?
Imagine what Peter's going through. Like, it's not like he intended for any of that to happen. Imagine the trauma. Like, your first instinct is to blame your son for what happened instead of, like, dealing with whatever trauma that he's experiencing for indirectly causing the death. Indirectly? Is it maybe directly causing the death of his? Not indirectly. I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. Is it direct or... Because, I mean, this was planned. This whole thing was planned. But
yes.
In the perspective of the people in the movie, of the family, he's directly the cause of her death. There's obviously going to be a massive amounts of anger and resentment, and then you pair that with the fact that she wasn't even close to her son. She didn't even want to have him in the first place. The proper thing to do was to go to somebody, like a specialist and stuff, and to hash those things out. Like, something horrible happened, and he needed to know that it was an accident, because it was an accident.
It was.
It's not something he did that was intentional. It was purely 100%. And I mean, negligent. I'll tell you, there's a lot of negligent things that happened
on both sides.
A lot of things that could have been avoided. Exactly.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it was an accident. So, like, he didn't need to hear blame. He needed to hear, like, this happened and it was a horrible accident. You needed to take care of your other kid, and she just was not interested. I mean, yeah, you're grieving too, obviously, but they needed to take care of Peter, and they didn't. They let him sink further and further.
And then, you know, even worse after that fucking seance, like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's when he really started, because then Peter started saying, I feel like there's a demonic presence, and he's like, oh no, Peter is also going crazy now. And you should have stepped in before Peter started talking about a demonic presence, you know? Yeah. Like, there are steps before somebody has a psychotic break, and there were plenty of signs for you to do something before then, and then get angry with the mother. So I was just like, you've been absent this entire time, and all of a sudden you care. From the point that Peter wakes up, right after he's been, you know, knocked out, whatever they gave him after he broke his nose, from the moment he wakes up until the rest of the movie, I don't know why, maybe I was just very hyper aware, but like, I saw everything. Like, the first time watching it and Peter gets up, I'm like, is that an arm? Am I seeing shit? Is that an arm and a leg? And then he turns his head and it starts moving. You're like, you're like, oh no, Peter is about to get killed. Peter, up until this point, is like, yo, something is coming after me. Some lady was trying to expel me out of my body or something from across the yard while I'm at school. And from the moment he wakes up, he's just uneasy. Walking through a dark house, going down the stairs to find your father burnt to a crisp. He's looking at his dad, and you see that one naked dude in behind him, just in the dark, just like smiling. And honestly, immediately, okay, so seeing them like that reminded me of Attack on Titans. The creature was just standing there staring. You see that guy there, but then the mom is also on the other side of the screen in the corner. And then he turns around, sees the guy, right? Doesn't see his mom on the wall, but he's looking at the guy. And then all of a sudden, like, this scene gets me every single time. The first time I watched it, the second time I watched it, I knew it was going to happen, but I was just... is when he's looking at the guy, and I don't know if he just, at the corner of his eye, sees something in front of him in the corner, and then he takes off, and then you see the mom coming out of that dark corner and chasing him, and you're just like... And then he runs up into the attic, and she's just like banging her head on the door to get hit him. Oh my God.
How the heck did she get in the attic? Because the attic was closed. And then she's up there floating in the...
Right? And then he jumps out of the window. There was the window was closed.
Yeah.
Who knows, man? She was possessed. From the moment he woke up until like he threw himself out of the window, I was terrified. I'm sorry. The mom running out at full speed from the corner of your periph, absolutely horrifying.
The fact that Toni Collette did not win any big awards for this role is absolutely unbelievable to me. Like, it was the most intense and incredible performances I have ever seen. Bravo.
She didn't win. I wonder who, I'll look it up later, but I wonder who she was up against that year.
Which even nominate, I don't feel like the award stuff, they don't like horror. They don't take horror seriously. No. They'll nominate all this other crap though, but yeah, they won't take horror seriously.
No, honestly, amazing.
Like, everybody was exceptional. And I know I was shocked to see the son from the Naked Brothers band. Do you remember that show on Nickelodeon?
No. Hold on a second.
There's Nat and Alex Wolf, and this was Alex Wolf, and I was shocked, like, he...
Oh my God! Yes, we did see the show.
And it's actually the younger brother who played this particular role.
Yeah.
And I was like, why haven't I seen him in other things? Like, it was phenomenal. Like, he did a great job. And
he was also in Death Note, which I think came out before Hereditary.
I think that's his brother, though.
Ah, Okay.
Death.
Okay.
Oh, we don't speak of that one.
Oh
We
no.
don't speak of Death Note.
Oh no, the live action was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, but
But
at least
yeah,
his brother was in something exceptional, and he did a great job.
yeah. Um. Oh, the whole point of this entire thing: kill Charlie, kill Peter, put Charlie in Peter's body. Honestly, like the moment, because like he's in the attic, right? He sees all these naked people. Candles are lit, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And then next thing you know, his mom is floating above him, cutting her neck with piano wire, I'm assuming. And at that point, he's just like, fuck it. Throws himself out of the attic window, which I'm like, okay, was that his choice? Or was that also something else that was orchestrated? Because they were going to have to kill Charlie anyway.
I mean, if you think you're like about to die, basically, you're gonna probably
You're like, might as well off myself.
Or might as well like just do something, like just get out of here and risk it.
He's like, I
if
might be able to
stay in
survive.
here, I'm dead.
Yeah.
If I
Oh, they end up in the tree house, and then you see like the grandmother's body as well as the mother's body with their heads gone, and you know they're in a submissive position to this, you know, this new Charlie / Peter demon thing. Then there at the end of the movie is where what's her face, the lady that runs into Annie and basically catapults the whole thing into happening. It like explains what's going on, because at this point you're like, yo. And I think that's where they really tell the viewer, like, hey, you know, we've been trying to get this demon into this boy's body. You're now in a male body, blah, 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 blah. This movie is really scary because it's somebody of your own blood, somebody who birthed you, the matriarch of this family, set all of you guys up to be a sacrifice for herself and her coven. Well, really for her coven, because she's dead. She did all this for her coven to reap the benefits of whoever this demon, which I'm forgetting the demon's name, but
Payman.
Yes, Payman. That's a whole other kind of like horror, is that the people that you should be able to love and trust in the world are the same ones who set you up for all of you guys to die in horrific ways, simply to have just you. They were pawns. Her entire family were pawns.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like there's also this other theme of you sort of put into this world for other people's, like, if you really think
for
about
their
it,
benefit.
If you're a kid, right, you have absolutely no control over the circumstances of your birth, and you have no control over the family that you're born into.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of, I'm not gonna say it's scary, but it's also like, wow, you know, I was put on this earth due to the decisions of other people for whatever reason these other people had, and I am in the family by no choice of my own, you know. So it's kind of like, yeah, you kind of have these people in this house that didn't choose the life that they're living, and of course she had this a strained relationship with her mother, who, I mean, guess why? She didn't want Charlie to get so close to her mother, but it ended up happening that way. So, like, you don't have any real control over the people that are in your family and all of these things. So the fact that they were set up from birth, like, it just adds to the whole things that are happening out of your control. You know,
because you were
circumstances that are
simply
happening out of your control.
Because you were brought into this world for a specific reason that you did not
exactly, that you had no choice in. Like, all these things in your life, all of these things happening to them, they didn't ask for it. It's by the will of other people that all of these events are taking place.
Such a good movie.
She didn't ask to be born from a cult, a woman in a cult who most likely had her for that specific reason. She had kids in order to continue the purpose of her cult.
Mm-hmm. You know what's okay? You know what's crazy? I can't remember if her brother was older or younger, but if it happened the same way, the mother had the brother tried to do the possessions on him, didn't work. But of course she had a daughter, and she kind of like, you know, of course she doesn't have a relationship with her daughter because she's so focused on the son, because the son is the means. And then of course the son kills himself, and then she's like, and then that's when she's like, oh, I still have a daughter. My daughter can have kids. And then forces her daughter to have kids.
Yeah.
Literally the entire time, like, one, I probably came into the world and you didn't give two shits about me because I wasn't the source of what you needed to do. And then I became the source of what you needed to do, and then you imposed yourself on my life again to use me and to use my children for your means. Like, that's a whole, like, oh my god, that
I mean, without the whole demonic side of it, that's how a lot of parents operate.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of
you bring kids into the world because you want to bring them into the world. Like, it's your choice to do it, and then if your kids don't do what you want them to do, then you're like, well, I brought you into this world and you're here for my means, and it's, yeah, it plays into how, like, it works in real life.
How entitled people like, your kid's life is an extension of your own. And I feel like maybe a lot of people feel that way. Sometimes their parents assert so much control over their life, and they don't treat their kids as treat their kids as a means to an end. Mm-hmm. They don't value them as individual people with. They don't want to be sacrificed to a demon. Like, you know what I mean? But I know it's extreme, but it's sort of a parallel on how, like, really terrible family dynamics where, yeah, your kids did not choose to be born, but at the end of the day, you have the right to treat them as individual people with their own life, their own desires, their own will. And, you know, and to not treat them as an extension of your own, of your own business. But a lot of people do.
Before we go into another tangent, 1 to 10, how scary was this movie?
10.
First time I watched it, 10. 100% 10 the first time I watched it. Like, could not. I'd go about my day perfectly fine, and the second I'd lay my head down on the pillow to go to sleep, I would immediately think about all the scary scenes that happened in that movie, and it would take me like an hour to fall asleep after, like, checking every corner in my bedroom to make sure there wasn't somebody floating there, you know? That, yeah. Worth watching, 100%.
Yeah, it is without a doubt the scariest movie I've ever seen. And honestly, it's really the first movie where I'm like, I'm not going like this. I'm going like, I'm not going like this. I'm like, oh my god.
It's less. It's okay. It's not that it's less scary. You're kind of just like, that's what's going on.
But like the certain events that happen, you're just like, what? Oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah. Oh no, oh my god, no. Great. I absolutely love this movie. We've already talked about what we liked about it. There was nothing that I disliked about this movie. Like how the story went, how they filmed it. It was, 10 out of 10.
There is no,
all the way around.
There is nothing. There's nothing I could, like, if I would have picked something, it would be nitpicky to hell.
Yeah, it would be to say something movie. Just to say something.
Yeah.
And I hate it when people do that. It's just like, it was good. No. You don't need to find something that was wrong with it.
No, it was the best, I think. Definitely the best horror film I've seen. But I have seen some other really good ones where if I were to I would be nitpicking. But this one is, no 10 out of 10.
It was so good. No notes. Well, that was our take on Hereditary. Thank you so much for listening and watching it, for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this midnight meeting. Bye.
Goodbye.